I know that I'm late to the party, but I don't give a shit. Terminator Dark Fate deserves a lot more love than this movie is getting. Welcome to the Dave Cave. I'm Dave, and today we are talking and defending the movie that is a direct sequel to Terminator 2 Judgment Day, and that is Terminator Dark Fate. This movie brings back Linda Hamilton, brings back Arnold Schwarzenegger, and continues the story from T2. Picks up probably, I'd say, a year after that one, and then a whole bunch of events kick off. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this. Full-on spoilers. We are talking about all of this because I don't understand how more people don't love this movie, and I understand that the stuff that people don't like requires me to talk about plot points. So we're going to talk about plot points. We're going to talk about them hard. So if you have not seen Terminator Dark Fate, 1, yes, I'm recommending right now, go see the movie. And 2, go see it because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you to go enjoy this movie. So go enjoy this movie, come back, and see why I like this movie so much. So first things first, they fucking kill John Connor. Straight up, shotguns to the chest. Sarah can't stop it in any way, shape, or form. She shoots at him. This T-800 guns John down. Takes place probably a year after the events of the second one, and that's it. And then he just walks off. Holy shit of that opening. And I love the hell out of it because for years, a common idea that people have talked about is, why did they only send one Terminator? Why? Why only the one after Sarah? Why only the one after John? And then, you have 3 and Salvation and Genesis. No, all those are gone. We're not talking about those. In terms of what happens in 1 and 2, yeah, these are systematic machines. Of course, they're going to send more than one. There has to be a contingency plan. If one fails, there has to be another, which they go into a little bit more in this movie, but it makes sense. And Sarah didn't think of that. Which, holy shit, that totally sucks. She thinks her son's safe. Homeboy walks over her shoulder and guns down the leader of the Resistance. She stops Skynet. You don't need the leader of the Resistance anymore, but those machines don't know that. Awesome beginning. Awesome beginning. I understand that they've killed John Connor in this whole franchise before, but this was perfect. This is exactly what you needed to be a sequel to T2 because you don't need John Connor anymore. Because there's no Resistance, there's no Skynet. They stopped it in that movie. So then you fast forward 22 years and you have the Rev 9 show up and you have Grace show up. They are a Terminator. He's like a T-1000 from 2 and a little bit of mix of 3. Yes, he has a little bit of mix of 3's Terminator, but it's enhanced even beyond that. He has his endoskeleton, and he has his liquid exoskeleton, which allows him to be 2 separate Terminators. Makes for a lot of cool moments in this movie. And then you have Grace. Grace is an enhanced human sent back for 15 minutes of fuckery. Literally sent back to be a burst to try to kill a Terminator. She says this. And if she doesn't kill the Terminator, she's meant to just die. Makes perfect sense to me. One of the arguments I heard against this is that she's supposed to be the super badass, but she collapses and falls. You explain to me, anybody who's watching this video, explain to me. Hit the comments below. I don't care if you hate me. Hit the comments below and let me know how you expect the human anatomy to fight, really fight, hand-to-hand combat. Fight, punch, kick, throw, hit shit, all this kind of stuff. With a Terminator, a Rev 9 Terminator, not even a T-800, a Rev 9 Terminator. Fight that and walk away. How do you expect the human anatomy to do that without a crash? The strain that would go on our bodies. Go run a 5K. Go run a marathon. Anybody. Go run a marathon. See how your body's going to do. Imagine in a marathon in 15 minutes. That's probably the equivalent, times about 10, of having to stop a Terminator, being able to hit a Terminator with enough force to send it flying. Yeah, Grace was a badass continually through this movie. She has a little bit of part towards the end where I was like, it's been a while since we've really had a Grace crash. Okay, no, she's good. We're fine. But I dug her. she made sense as an enhanced human, and that she has this cocktail that she has to mix up. Sure, the Sarah thing's a little weak. Sarah wouldn't really know how to do it, but I mean, she'd kind of have an idea of how to take care of herself. 22 years, she knows what the body needs, what would keep the body going. I would imagine there's been a fair bit of time in those 22 years where she's had to scrape along on bare bones and knowing what the body needs and what absolutely will bring it back from the brink of death. If anybody's going to know that in this universe, Sarah Connor is going to know how to do that. So that makes perfect sense to me. And speaking of Sarah Connor, she shows up, does her Sarah Connor thing, and a sweet, awesome little moment. Little moment. If you're not paying attention, you'll miss it. She's carrying the shotgun that killed John. That was left at that little cantina bar thing. I like that. I like that a lot. I wish it had shown up more in the movie. So Sarah shows up, and you have this whole plot point where she's been getting texts of coordinates every couple years of where to go. She goes to the coordinates, and she kills a Terminator. And every text ends with "for John." You kind of know. You kind of have an idea that there's something, especially if you watch T2 before this. If you can, watch T2 before this. 1, it'll give you insight into the T-800. 2, it'll give you insight into Sarah and Sarah's understanding, really understanding of what the T-800 is and is capable of as a learning computer. Keep that in mind. So the movie goes on and on and on, and they're trying to get to these coordinates that are tattooed on Grace that happen to be the exact same coordinates that Sarah has been getting texts from for decades. Cool, nice little plot point. And so that movie goes on and on and on. They go through the border and all this stuff, and they get to the coordinates. And it's the T-800 that killed John Connor. Obviously, Sarah's going to be pissed. Obviously. Makes perfect sense. Sarah is going to be pissed. She is not going to have any love lost for this fucking machine because she was worried about this. When the Terminator shows up in Terminator 2, she doesn't trust it. By the end of the movie, she trusts it. That's about the same amount of time that passes in this movie, Dark Fate, from beginning to end, passes in about the same amount of time as T2. She goes from no, and screeching her feet on the floor, running away from the T-800, to trusting him. Absolutely trusting him with John's life. She makes that same turn in this one. Sure, this T-800 is a little bit more history. He's the one that fucking killed John Connor, but she understands T-800s. She does, at her base, understand that this can learn. It can raise a kid. It can be someone that can, as much as a machine could understand it, love a person. Because that's what the T-800 does. It's a learning computer. Yes, it's an infiltrator. Sarah talks about it. It's an infiltrator. It's meant to blend in with humans. But in being able to blend in with humans, he becomes more human. He doesn't have a directive. He can learn things from people. We learn in T2 that T-800s can learn from people. The T-800 shoots dudes' legs out because it's not going to kill them. Why? Because John taught him. Because you just can't, okay? Trust him on this. So the movie presses on, and you have all kinds of awesome action pieces in this movie. There's some solid at the beginning. There's a whole bunch of solid at the end. A little bit in between, and you get story as the movie progresses. And honestly, yes, it's not a well-kept secret that it's not going to be the same idea that Danny is Sarah Connor and that it's her kid that's going to be the leader of the Resistance. Danny is the leader of the Resistance. You kind of get that that's what's going to happen because they got to do a little bit of twist on it. You can't redo the whole Sarah Connor storyline. No. Danny, she is the leader of the Resistance. I got it. The actress that they had play her, badass. Absolutely badass. I can buy her being the leader of the Resistance. And I've heard that they're talking about a trilogy. I'm behind her. I'm behind her as the new John Connor. Then you get to the final set piece and you have them defeat the Rev 9. Because obviously It's a Terminator movie. They're going to defeat the Rev 9. And in that, you do get sacrifices. And this is the part where I was saying, keep in mind the fact that Sarah understands that T-800 can grow. By the end of this movie, she does trust him. There are numerous points after they meet back up that the T-800 protects Sarah. He has no qualms with her. He also understands that, yeah, Sarah's going to be pissed. She says to him, I'm going to kill you when this is done. I'm going to kill you. And he's like, yeah, I understand. I get it. Fucking gunned your son down in front of you. And he raised a kid, so he gets it. That's why he sent on this mission of sending Sarah the texts, and I got it. I bought all of the T-800 stuff. All of it. So then you have Sarah watch the T-800 as he actually dies, protecting everyone from the Rev 9 and making sure the EMP goes into his brain and kills it. And Sarah doesn't have an actual dialogue-driven epiphany moment where she forgives him or says anything to the effect of, yeah, you were a machine, I see that you've grown, whatever. All I needed, was Sarah looking down on Carl. I'm not going to call him Carl. Sarah looking down on the T-800, just tears in her eyes. Not actual tears, but welling. She's feeling it. That this Terminator, again, sacrificed itself for her and for the future of mankind, humankind, whatever you want to call it. I dig it. I got it. And then you get to the end of the movie, and yes, absolutely leaves it open-ended. You end with Danny, you end with Sarah, and they drive off into the sunset in a Jeep Wrangler. Just like in the first one, it works. To me, it works. In every way, shape, or form to keep a movie franchise going, especially Terminator, that has burned people. Burn people. T3, Rise of the Machines, was shit. I personally like Salvation. Genesis screwed the pooch in a lot of different ways. Going back and doing T2 sequel was a very smart move. Now, having said that, if you had gone back to Dave after watching the first trailer for this movie and seeing Sarah Connor come out of that car in what was supposed to be such a badass, just holy shit moment, I felt nothing. Absolutely nothing. Because to me, this felt like, okay, Halloween 2018 did really good. It brought back Jamie Lee Curtis. It brought back their final girl, erased a whole bunch of the mythology, and just decided where it was going to pick up as a sequel from. Because that's what this movie does. At very bare bones, that's what Terminator Dark Fate does. Erases 3 movies and picks up from T2. Brings back the final girl, Sarah Connor, Linda Hamilton, and then it tells the story from there. That's what it does. And just because of that, I wrote this movie off. And I started to see more. I started to see more, and I was interested, and yeah, I didn't rush out to go see it opening night because, meh. But then I heard, maybe it's okay. Maybe it's decent. I'm here to tell you that for me, easily top 3. Beats the last 3, and it's not even close. For me, it actually is very close contention for T2. It's different enough that T2 does tip the scales a little bit better, but this is a good movie. This is a good Terminator movie. And if they're going to keep going and they don't get in their heads too much about what they want to do about the movie, and they don't retread the same steps that T2 did and try to do the whole, okay, well, we got to bring down Legion, this trilogy could be good. It could be solid. Unfortunately, I don't think we're actually going to get it because this movie is bombing, and that's why I felt compelled, even after the initial push of this whole film, to do this review and do this rant and do this talk, because if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, and you're a fan of Terminator 1, Terminator 2, and you're burned out from the last 3, go see this movie. Go see this movie. Please go see this movie, because I think you will enjoy it. If you go into this movie believing that it is directly a sequel to T2, I think you're going to enjoy it. If you ignore the fact that they've had the other three movies, because yes, there are little bits here and there, little nibbles of what has been done in the previous movies, but this movie does it a lot better. One of the main problems I've been hearing some people say is it's so CG heavy. One, it has to be. I would challenge anybody on this planet to do the Rev 9 effects practically. Go ahead. Have fun. Good luck with that. There's obviously going to be CG. It's a Terminator movie. It's a movie about a machine moving through space, which T1 does, T2 does. I understand that. But you're not going to be able to progress the technology of the Terminators forward and not have CG come into it. And the CG doesn't look bad in this movie. I was looking. I absolutely was looking. I was expecting CG to look cartoony, look weak, look shit, have weird shading. For me, the CG did its job all over the place. And for the idea that, holy shit, this movie has a lot of CG, to the people that say that, go watch Terminator 1. Go watch Terminator 1. And then go watch Terminator 2. Holy shit. Leaps and bounds and leaps and bounds in CG over Terminator 1. Which, obviously, Terminator 2, by now standards, is not a lot of CG. But the CG that went into Terminator 2 versus Terminator 1, if you had that same criticism, you would have hated Terminator 2. For what Terminator 2 did in its time, if CG was your problem, that movie would have been, ugh, it's horrible. Terminator 2 isn't horrible. Terminator 2 is awesome. Don't get hung up on things like too much CG. Some movies call for too much CG. It's like watching Endgame and saying, oh my god, yeah. Oh, too much CG. You gotta do Thanos practically. You gotta do Scarlet Witch practically. You gotta do Hulk practically. What's wrong with these people? No. CG is sometimes called for, especially with the imaginations that some of these filmmakers are coming up with. You gotta go with CG, or it won't work. Oftentimes, I really do like practicals. I really, really do. If they can pull it off and really make it work anytime that they could do practicals, I'm for practicals. But this movie could not have been done practically. Any Terminator movie moving forward, a lot of it, you can't do it practically. Sure, you could come up with an animatronic skeleton. Do it. Go ahead. That's fine. I'm for it. Make it work. But for the Rev 9 and stuff like that, you gotta do CG. You gotta. So, even though this is mostly kind of like a rant defense review that I'm putting together, this is a review. So, my two questions. One, should you go see it? Did you enjoy Terminator 1? Did you enjoy Terminator 2? Yes. This is a good progression of that storyline. I liked it a lot. I really, really did. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to have the same tastes. But if you're on the fence of whether or not you should, and you like the Terminator franchise, absolutely go see this movie. And question number 2, am I going to put it on the wall as soon as I can? Absolutely, as soon as I can. I really actually can't wait to watch this movie again because it's a fun movie to watch. There's some humor, there's emotion, there's awesome action, there's badass characters, there's badass... Everybody in this movie, all the main players, the main 5, Rev 9, the T-800, Danny, Grace, Sarah Connor, all badasses, all have badass moments. I believed all of them could do exactly what they were doing in this movie. Gabriel Luna, solid ass Terminator. Well, I just had to get that off my chest. If you enjoyed this little rant discussion that I had going, please don't forget to hit that like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and hit the comments below. Let me know what you thought about this movie. If you're someone that loved it, defend it. If you're someone that hated it, hit the comments below. Let me know why, but really give a why. Don't just go down there and say, yeah, this movie was shit. This movie was meh. It retreaded old steps. Give a why. And don't hate people. People who liked it, don't hate the people that hated it. People that hated it, don't hate the people who liked it. Have a good discussion. Hit the comments below. Find out why other people liked and hated this movie, because it seems to be dividing the fan base. Okay, well, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you so much, as always, for stopping by the Dave Cave. I'll be back. But until then, take care.